Hi, how are you? Hope you're well. So I am here today because I am starting a new fantasy duology and I really wanted to make a reading vlog for this. So the fantasy duology that I'm reading is the Malice duology, I think, or the Misrule duology. I forget the name, but book 1 is called Malice and then book 2 is called Misrule. And I was just in the bookshop one day walking around and these covers have been catching my eye non-stop. Okay, every time I'm in the fantasy section I see them and I'm like, ugh, I don't know, like the hands, the purple, just everything, I don't know, everything about it, just I'm like, ooh. So I saw it again and I was like, okay, what is it about? What is it about? So I picked it up, I read the back. As of this point right now, I don't remember what the back said, but I read the back, I was like, this sounds interesting. All that I know, even at this point of reading, is that it's about the villain, like it's in the perspective of the villain. I'm using quotations because I don't know if it's like an actual villain or just perceived as a villain. I'm only 7% into the book at this point, but yes, so it is about the villain and it's LGBTQ+. So I'm hoping the villain, who is a girl, ends up with the princess, and why wouldn't I want to read that? It's like Once Upon a Broken Heart, but adult and gay. So that sounds wonderful to me. It's not at all like Once Upon a Broken Heart. That's just me being obsessed. But I'm 7% into book 1, which is Malice. And so far I've read about 3 chapters in the prologue, and by the way, completely spoilers. I want to talk about this. But so far what's happened is basically the prologue is just like a letter from, I think, a Fae king talking about how the mortals would be stupid to create another villa. And then chapter 1 is in the perspective and she's talking about how she's a dark grace, everyone hates her, and basically graces are like these women with magical powers. So all of the graces have golden blood, vibrant hair, and then something else that's golden. And there's like a beauty grace, there is a wisdom grace, and they basically like put their blood into these little potions that they make and their patrons buy that off of them. And so like the beauty grace, for example, you go to her and you're like, I want my hair to be really shiny and voluminous because I'm going to this ball. So she makes a little concoction potion for you, you pay her, you drink it, and your hair is very pretty and voluminous. So that's basically how it works. But our main character, Alice, is a dark grace and she is half villa, and basically her magic is green. She has like apparently like scales on the backs of her hands. I don't fully understand how she looks yet. I want to look up fan art, but I'm scared of spoilers because that has happened before. So I'm still deciding. If I do, well, I'll put fan art that aren't spoilers because by the time you watch this, I will have finished this. Why? Okay, this is spoilers. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I will put fan art so you can see what she looks like. At this point in time, I don't know what she looks like. But basically it's about her, and we've just been introduced that there's this ball, but it's a masquerade, so she's gonna like go but not be herself because people don't like her, people are scared of her, and because she's evil. And it's the princess's birthday ball. So that's all that I know that's happening so far. I'm very excited to read this and figure out what it's about. Again, I really hope it's she ends up with the villain, but the villain is also a girl because oh my goodness, perfection. But the reason I wanted to make this reading vlog and make it spoilers was because I have literally never ever heard anyone talk about this series before. And one, it's an adult romantasy duology, which like that as a whole just has like, it's like a silver tray, you know, like it's not like this giant series or anything like that, so you'd think it'd be more popular. 2, the covers are stunning. I do think it's an older series. I don't know when it was published. I'll Google it and put it on the screen, but I do think it's an older series, so maybe that's why. But the covers are stunning. Again, both of them just have like these gorgeous like hands that are like look evil, and it's like these purple colors, and it's just so like, it's so simple, but it creates an at least for me, it creates an atmosphere of what this book is so perfectly. And I think they're stunning. I mean, I think they're gorgeous covers. Even my boyfriend, when I showed him, I was like, do you think I should read the, he did not read the blurb. He looked at the covers and went, yes, those look good, read those. So I don't know, but I've never ever heard anything about These are those books where I went into the bookstore, I discovered them there, and I picked them up completely blind, not knowing anything about them. So I just wanted to make a video and kind of share them, and like my hopes are really high for this. I'm very excited for this. I have like this feeling that it's gonna be good, so I'm really hoping that that works out. And I don't know, like this seems like a series that I'm going to love and I want to share it. So I'm very excited. Again, it's gonna be completely spoilers, so just keep that in mind. But if this sounds interesting so far, like everything up until now, it's only been the first 3 chapters, so it's really not that spoilerish. So if it sounds interesting, go pick it up for yourself and then come back and watch it and see if we like share the same opinions on it. But I'm excited. I've been wanting to read this for like a month now, maybe more, and I will come back when I know more. Wish me luck. I really want this to be a good series and I'm very, very excited for it. So yeah, I will talk to you in a bit.
So I'm on page 55, which is the end of chapter 5. And so far, basically, she went to go on like this errand trip for one of the Graces in the Lavender House, which is where she lives. And then she went to this like tower thing and she found this guy who's imprisoned there. And he's basically saying he knew her mother and she never met either of her parents. And he's telling her about her. And then she says here, I'm part Villa, I know that, but do you know what else I am? And then the guy tells her, you're a shifter, just like me. So basically, that's all that's really been discovered so far, along with just a lot of like info dumping of world history. So far, it's been a few days since I've started this, and I'm only on page 55, which is 13% through. I've been struggling reading this. It's been pretty boring so far because for the most part, it does feel like 80% info dumping and then just some like character introduction so far, which is fine and understandable. However, after reading both Once Upon a Broken Heart and Caraval, where they kind of just like throw you into it and world building and world history is thrown in throughout the chapters, it's a bit more intriguing in the beginning. It doesn't feel as slow of a start, so I'm going to withhold any opinions right now because of that reason. However, I do feel a bit bored. I've read everything except chapter 5. Chapter 5 I listened to, and I think I might listen to the remaining first 50 pages to just like get into it, and then hopefully it picks up a little bit by there. Luckily my library has both books available on audio in case worst comes to worst. But yeah, so that's just the only unfortunate part. I do wish it was a bit faster paced, a bit less info dumpy, and just a bit more going on. But hopefully starting here things get a bit more interesting.
Hi, I'm on page 157, which is chapter 16, and I still feel very, very conflicted over this book. So I'm really liking it. Alice and Princess Aurora met, and oh my goodness, I'm like in love with them. They're so cute. She literally, Aurora had all the Graces, or most of the Graces, come for dinner, and she named Alice to come as well, which doesn't happen because she's a villa, and she's literally the only person that's nice to Alice. And I'm so excited for their romance, and I'm so excited to see how it develops and where we go with it. And they're just so cute. It feels very much almost Grumpy Sunshine, but the Grump, who is Alice, our main character, gets very flustered around Aurora, and it's very cute. And it's definitely slow burn and more of like a friends to lover, like strangers to friends to lovers type of vibe. Like there's no tension, there's just awkwardness, like internally in her internal monologue, but like in a good way, you know? So I'm really enjoying it. It's really cute and fun. I just have one major gripe with this book, and it's something that I'm struggling to look past a little bit, and it kind of is ruining the reading experience for me a little bit, and that is the info dumping in this book is actually insane. And what I mean by that is it gets so boring to the point where every 3 chapters I have to switch to the audiobook and listen to it because like my eyes glaze over as soon as the info dumping starts, because we get to a point where the main character has like a memory and then she starts going down just everything she knows about that man. Like she remembers the first queen of, I forget where they live, but the first queen of her kingdom, the kingdom that she lives in. And then she goes through pages upon pages of history about something about that queen. Or same thing, like she starts reading a book and then it kind of just starts to feel like a textbook, but for like a completely different world that we don't know about and that somehow has magic. So that is my like one gripe with this book, and I'm really struggling to look past it because it really does take me out of the story, because again, it feels like you're in class and your teacher is just reciting a textbook to you in a more understandable way, and it's quite boring. And I wish the author found a different way to incorporate world building and giving us information on world history without it being just so info dumpy. Like genuinely, we have like 2 interesting chapters and then the next chapter starts off and the first half of the chapter, and these chapters aren't overly short, like the shortest ones are like 12 to 15 pages, and then the first half of like every 3rd chapter is just a bunch of like, oh, the queen fought this war and won this crown, and then she went and she ruled, and then a magical princess came and cursed her so she would only have girls, but the girls would die at 21, and this and that and this and that, and it's just, I'm gone, I'm not paying attention. My brain is over there somewhere, not here in this book. And by the way, half of that example is not actually what happens in the book. I just made that up. The only true part is that the royal bloodline can only have girls and they die at 21. But point is, like, do you get what I mean? It's just, it's very info dumpy and it's very disappointing because I was really looking forward to it, and like half of the book so far is purely info dumping, and I genuinely, like, it makes me very angry thinking about it. So I really do want the info dumping to stop and get better. I don't know percentage wise how far I am into this. 36%, so I'm not even halfway yet. So I'm hoping that maybe once we start approaching the halfway point, the info dumping will lessen to completely stopping, since we've been informed of everything. But I did just want to talk about that because it does make the reading experience a bit dull and difficult, and I don't know, again, for me, if world building isn't done right, my eyes glaze over. So it's unfortunate, and just be warned going into this that the info dumping is bad. I will let you know if and when it stops, but yeah, that's where I am so far. That being said though, the actual story is good. The main characters are likable, and I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. My only issue with it is the info dumping. Is it a big issue? Yes. But will I get over it? Hopefully. Like, it's not enough to make me DNF this book at all. I'm still very interested in it. It's just, every 3rd chapter, gotta go switch to audio and play my little phone games because I have the attention span of a goldfish and I don't like info dumping. So we will see, and I'll keep you updated. But again, great book, bad info dumping sections. What can you do? Hi, so I've officially gotten past the halfway point with Malice, and it's starting to pick up a lot. There is definitely still the info dumping, but it's getting less and less and less, and overall, I was intrigued from the start of the book, and that interest in the story has like stayed stagnant, and it started off very high, so that's a good thing. And overall, I am enjoying it. So far, this has been a spoiler vlog, and I'm gonna keep talking about what happens. It's kind of gonna be a little bit of a summary, full thoughts, full spoilers. So if you haven't read this and you've watched up to here, I recommend stopping watching this video, going to read the duology, and then coming back, because everything up until this point that I've said really isn't like major plot spoilers or anything like that. So you're good to go read it for yourself and then come back and we can discuss how we feel feel about this book. Or you can buddy read it with me. But that is my recommendation. So far, it's really good. I would recommend, obviously at the end of this, I'll have a more substantial understanding of how much I would recommend this. But right now, it's really intriguing. I'm thinking about it constantly when I'm not reading it. And honestly, the audiobook is really, really good. So if you don't want to read it, the audiobook is amazing. So definitely, like, whatever format you choose to pick it up in, definitely pick it up in. So go read it and then come back and we'll talk. But basically, so far what has happened is the king obviously has tried to get her into his whole little plot scheme thing, and she's basically working for him, and she's still secretly meeting up with the princess, trying to break her curse because the princess actually does want to rule. So a lot of like plot stuff is happening, and then she's obviously dealing with her own self-discoveries and everything. This is one of those series where it's like, I don't want anyone to die and I'm scared. I really hope no one dies, but I guess we'll find out. In general, it's really good so far. I'm rooting for the main character so hard. I just want her to have a happy ending. It's kind of up in the air right now. I don't know if she's gonna go full villain or actually be the good guy, so that's kind of interesting to see where that's gonna go. But overall, very interesting. Because I don't remember what the back of the book said and I've heard nothing about this book, I've absolutely no clue where this story is gonna go. That's kind of fun because I kind of feel like how I did with Once Upon a Broken Heart, where it's like, this is fun, no clue where this is going, no clue what this is setting up for, which is the best way to read a book in my opinion. So it's been interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm gonna try and update a bit less because I've updated a lot and I have 2 books to read, so yeah, the only problem is I've been reading this for like 8 days now and I only reached halfway the other day, so I don't like how slowly I'm reading this. I do want to, like, starting today, pick it up a bit more, hopefully get it done within the next week to 2 weeks, but not because I'm not enjoying it. I have like this thing where I can't be in a world for too long or I get fatigued, regardless if it's the same book or a series, as we all know by now. So yeah, I want to finish it, but that's a good thing. I will probably update about 75-ish% of the way through unless something really massive happens. I don't know, we will see, but I'm enjoying it so far, and the annoyance and fatigue that the info dumping caused is slowly going away as it lessens because we're guessing more into actual plot heavy things. So it is looking up. Hi. I finished, and a lot's happened since the last update, so I'm quickly gonna speed through that. Alice's kiss broke the curse. She and Aurora went to Aurora's parents to be like, we want to get married. They said no. Then Tarquin, I think his name is, the king, had his little Disney monologue moment and told everyone of his evil plans. And then he sent Alice to jail. Aurora got Laurel and they broke her out. She showed them her shifter's power. She went back to the tower. She freed Cal. Cal turned out to be evil. Didn't see that betrayal coming, but I should have. She enchanted a spinning wheel to try and get him into his sleep curse. It didn't work because her intent wasn't there. Then Aurora showed up and he captured Aurora and she pricked her finger. And that was when I realized that this was a Sleeping Beauty retelling, which took me way too long to figure out considering the literal title of the book is Malice, as in Maleficent. But anyway, she kills Cal. Cal also released another villa, the older evil one that set the curse on all of the queens. I forget their last name, but also her name's Aurora. How did I not get that? But anyway, so there's an evil villa inside of her. She used her powers in addition to her own to kill Cal. Then the Fae dude showed up, helped her take back Aurora to the Grace's house, Lavender House. She waited in the cellar and then they found out that they fixed her, but she's still under sleeping a curse and someone has to kiss her to wake up. And she's like, oh, it'll be me. I'm her true love. And they're like, no, we changed it so that it's someone's of the family's choosing. So that's when she went fully evil, broke into the palace, turned into a dragon and kidnapped Aurora, and that's how the book ended, with her just being like, oh, this place is going to be under my rule, and she named it a new name that I don't remember. So I ended up giving this book a 3-star. I really wanted to give it higher, but the info dumping issue that I had mentioned earlier in these clips, it was just too much for me. It really did kind of ruin the experience a little bit, and it was just something that I couldn't really get behind that much. Overall, I did enjoy it. I do recommend it. obviously I'm hoping that if you're watching this segment, you have already read it and you have come to talk to me about it. But it was fun, it was good. I'm taking a little bit of a break before I read the second one. In general, I've just read a few too many serious fantasies because I just like need a little bit of a break. So far I finished 5 books this year and all of them have been dark, so I just need some kind of reprieve from that for a little bit. So there's that, and then also I'm still waiting for the audiobook to come in from the library. They only have 1 copy, and for some reason the only other person that has borrowed it is deciding to simply just not return it. So I have to wait for that, even though it's very annoying. But anyway, so I'm going to wait a little bit to read the sequel, but not long, like 2 to 3 weeks max. And I would say probably between the 1 to 2 week mark. So I will check in once I've gotten into Misrule a little bit more. I am very excited to see how it goes. I don't think that Alice is going to be like the main villain. Like in my gut, it just tells me that Alice will have a happy ending with Aurora. So we'll see. I hope that's the case. I'm really enjoying the story. And especially now that I know it's a Sleeping Beauty retelling, I absolutely love the fact that Maleficent is the person who Aurora kind of like is destined to end up with. I think that's a really fun twist, and I love morally gray characters. I love when the love interest is the villain, hence why I love Once Upon a Broken Heart so much. So overall, it's just been a fun, good time. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely not like going to be a favorite here unless book 2 pulls something out of left field that just gets me to fall in love. I don't anticipate this being a favorite series or anything like that, but I do think this is a series that by the end of it I would have really enjoyed. So I'm excited, and I will see you when I've started Misrule. Hi. So I finally finished Misrule, and I'm upset. I ended up only giving Misrule 2 stars, and it really just wasn't good in my opinion. I just ended up being so disappointing because my hopes were so high for the series. You know, I knew it was a duology, so I knew book 1 might be a bit slower than book 2, and I was really hoping that that was the case. And book 1 was a 3-star, so there was potential for it to like build up, and it didn't really. I felt that in Malice it was way too info dumpy, but then in Misrule I felt very lost half of the time. Like sometimes it would be written in such a way where I wasn't even sure if we were still in Alice's point of view or if the author had a switch point of views. We were kind of just thrown into the middle of situations. Like book 2 takes place about 100 years after book 1, and we're just kind of like thrown into it, not really explained anything, and she's just like, oh, the Dark Court this, the Dark Court that, and like you have like no idea what's going on until several pages later, if not even like a chapter or 2. And it just felt very frustrating to read because I felt so lost all of the time. And then in addition to it, the romance fell off. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've either read it or are not planning to, and I did warn you that this is going to be spoilers. So basically, the couple doesn't even end up together at the end, like Aurora and Alice. They break up, which, to be fair, they needed to do, but like it's a fantasy romance book. So they break up, and at the end it's kind of like, oh, they might get back together, which like is not why I picked this up. I picked it up for a sapphic fantasy romance, and then the couple doesn't even end up together at the end, which is like very frustrating in itself. The conflict resolution where Alice just remembered the poem and then figured everything out like right there on the spot felt very convenient. It just, in general, I really didn't like it. I felt that the solutions were too convenient. The romance was just not good. There were like weird, like it was almost like a love square type of situation. It was strange. I didn't like it. I didn't like where the story went. I didn't like how it ended. Book 2 let me down massively. I don't know if I said this, but I ended up giving it a 2-star. And in general, like, I'm not upset that I read it because I'd been seeing the cover in the bookstore, and in general, I was just wanting to read it. So I'm happy that I finally read it. However, I would never reread it, and I don't think I would recommend it really. So overall, I'm just disappointed with how this went. If you read this duology, please let me know what you think of it. Do you agree with my thoughts and opinions on it, or do you think I'm completely wrong and it was amazing? If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.